What is going on, sports fans? And welcome back to another episode of Pez's Picks. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by the man with the picks himself. Pez, what's going on?
Jeff, up here in the Green Mountains of Vermont, winter's here. It's snowing out right now. There's a couple flakes mixed in with the R word. You're not allowed to say that R word up here in the ski area. Opening day could be tomorrow. We could be making turns again, Jeff. It feels like summer went by like that. We're happy
That's
about that.
crazy. That's crazy. All right, well, hey, good for you. You're a skier. I'm not. That's not my bag. So I'm more of the warm weather guy. But let's talk about our picks. Last week was interesting. We'll put it that way. I want to know what did you learn from last week, both in college football and the NFL?
I think at this point, college football a little bit more predictable, Jeff, and that's kind of been something the last 4 or 5 years was the complete opposite. We're kind of seeing in the NFL things we saw in college for a while. There's poor quarterback play. There's poor ball control, ball possession, and defenses are not consistent this year. The NFL's got, I'm going to say, more parity than we've seen in a long time, except for a couple teams. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles are still the cream of the crop. And if things don't change, I see another Super Bowl a return. But a lot of inconsistent play in the NFL. When you pick winners, but you lose the spread, and that's something going in the right direction. Your Steelers, up and down, Jeff. Who would have seen it? That team looked great. It's the kind of team that we thought we'd see all year, and I think could compete with the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl. The Dallas Cockroaches, Jeff. I think I said this last year. We will never invest a dollar, anything related to except betting against them. But they screwed us again, Jeff. What a horrible organization and team. We could talk the whole show about it, but the most selfish team I've ever seen. How do they not put up more points against the stupid Arizona Cardinals? I just don't get it, Jeff.
Well, and to be honest with you, the Steelers are I think the perfect example and are very emblematic of how the NFL has gone this year. I would have told anyone. I told a bunch of people the Steelers are due for one of those wins that no one's given them a shot and they win a game. I couldn't have told you it was going to be Sunday against the Colts, but you knew it's coming. They're very difficult to predict. And the Steelers defense is up and down. The offense is more consistent. That's really funny to think, but still, the NFL is difficult. Normally we have a good beat on the National Football League and we struggle in college, but those seem to be flipped. Well, what is it about college football that is changing outside of, you don't have the 30-year-old quarterbacks anymore that have been in the college game for 8 years? What has changed that I feel like you have a good grasp on college football right now?
I mean, we're 12-2-1 since we launched Pez'sPicks.com, and that's as good as anyone in the country right now, Jeff. That's phenomenal. It's the best we've done in college in a long time. But
Yeah.
I see a little bit of return to the old college football days. Defense is winning. When you want to invest in a football game, you want to bet on a good defense. I mean, that's one solid, and we saw with Ohio State, kind of sluggish first half. That defense shut that team down to a point. It was painful to watch. Indiana, unbelievable defense. When Miami's playing well, the defense is a little better than giving up points. So Texas defense kind of stymied Vanderbilt in the first half a little more than we thought. That Vandy, what a team! I hope they make the tournament, Jeff. If NCAA is smart, they got to have Vandy in this tournament. I mean, they got to do their job. They got to win out going forward. But at the end of the day, college football, it's quarterback play, defensive play, and that's something that's a little more predictable than when you had 25 to 27-year-old guys. You might not be fast enough, it might not be athletic enough to play for some of these blue chip schools, but you can still compete. That's one thing in sports. Veterans, and we saw it with the Dodgers. Freddie Freeman, unbelievable, Jeff. But this guy's like 40 years old. I'm 42 years old, still out there making plays, getting hits when you need to. So a 25, 27-year-old guy is going to dominate at times against the better 19, 20-year-old athlete. And that's gone. So we're back to recruiting. Well, now it's paying guys. And, I think the blue chip schools are the ones you got to invest in, kind of like stocks. And sometimes you got to buy Ford and you got to buy Xerox if that's still a thing, Jeff. I'm not messing with the market, but I think it used to be a good stock in the old days prior to this AI.
Now, I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it for the listeners out there. Yesterday, we're recording on Wednesday. The college football put out their latest rankings, the first college football bracket of what it would look like. You put any stock into that?
I mean, it's fun, but it's all determined on the field at this point. I mean, if you're in that top 12, in a way, if you're a team with a loss or two, you kind of want to be 13, 14, 15. You're going to win your way in. Say you're like 9, 10, 11. and in the next couple of weeks you lose one of those games, you're out, right? So it's kind of survival of the fittest, which kind of makes it more fun. I do think for gambling, it's a little bit of an advantage. A team that's in that top 12, towards the bottom, or maybe trying to get in, it's going to try to light it up. You want teams to run it up if you're betting on them, right? Where we got away from that in college for a little bit. There was kind of a fraternity of coaches not wanting to embarrass each other. Now they're trying to kill each other. I mean, these coaches are getting fired. They got to light the board to get the NIL deals, keep the money, and that makes for a gambler a little bit more, stable kind of investment. Where in the NFL, birds do it, Steelers do it. Smart teams are just going to tick the clock if they're up, and ticking the clock kind of can come in the end to kind of burn you on last minute touchdown. So happy with college. I like the tournament. I think it's the best thing they've done. They got to get Vandy in there. I like BYU. That's an exciting team too, Jeff. And there's some good teams out there. Florida, bad record, good team. And that's something you got to watch for as we come down the stretch here. Their team's playing with pride. Horrible injury in Nebraska. Dylan Raiola, kid we've been talking about for 2 years, had a gruesome injury. Coach rumored to leave, signs an extension. Nebraska, a little bit of a letdown for us this year. Aside from that, college football is dynamite. It's been the best year in a long time.
Do you want to talk about any potential plays this week or leans this week in college football before we go to the NFL?
Well, we're recording tonight, Jeff. We've got Kent State at Ball State. So I think it's 49 straight days of college football. We're betting Tuesday college football. That's a fantastic thing to be able to do at this time of year. Kent State, classier team, better numbers at Ball State. Jeff, the most exciting thing about this game, other than we're taking the 2 points in Kent State, this come out Thursday, so we're going to look like winners. Knock on some wood back here somewhere, Jeff. There it is over this side. So Ball State, did you know there were 5 brothers with the last name of Ball that founded that college? The wife and I, we're puzzled as to who would name a school Ball State. She made a connection. Perhaps Lucille Ball related to Ball State, Jeff. I didn't like that show, so part of the algorithm here. If you don't like the TV show related to the last name, you bet against it, Jeff. But we like Kent State. We're looking at some of the games. Injury reports are kind of something you got to kind of really comb through at this point, especially in the NFL. And we'll have some leaks out there coming Thursday, Friday for the PezisPicks.com games we're picking.
All right, perfect. So make sure you check out PezisPicks.com. That's where you can get all of Pez's premium picks for sure. But let's talk about the NFL. The trade deadline was Tuesday at 4 p.m. A lot of teams, your team made some moves, acquiring some talent, whether it was the pass rusher from Miami, also Jair Alexander, the cornerback from Baltimore. Not so much just about Philadelphia, but to the trades and deals that have been made. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys made a huge move. The Indianapolis Colts make a big move getting Sauce Gardner. Does that change anything for when you're looking at upcoming games?
Absolutely. The Steelers deal, I think, really made them a better defense last week. And we would have taken them, Jeff, but, we don't like to – you don't want to chase your money. We're still a little pissed off Steelers let us down the week before. I wish we would have put that bet in because after that move, I think the Steelers are a smart team enough to know one guy, one position can change a starting defense. I mean, even more than I think a starting offense. You can plug holes in offense, but when it's an indicator – that you're missing something, NFL offensive coordinators are going to find that. They're going to bury you on that one opening you have, whether it be linebacker or something in the secondary. And it showed last week, played a lot better against the Colts, one of the best offenses in the league. I know the Philadelphia Eagles made the right moves. Howie Roseman, the greatest general manager, at least the last 25 years, Jeff. This guy goes out, he makes moves. We don't give up too much. And I think the Colts think this is their year, and it could be. Solid defense, solid running back, quarterback play has been great, and they're making moves to get to the Super Bowl. And I think you got to do that. It's better to maybe forfeit a third, fourth, fifth round, even maybe a number 1 pick to try to make one big push because you don't win many of these things. Philadelphia Eagles been great the last 10 years. We have 2 wins. I mean, the Chiefs. When you put the Chiefs and New England in there, that's half the Super Bowls or more in the last 20 years. So I like the moves, and it does help with gambling. It says to the player, stay on your toes because we're making moves. You're either going to lose your job or you got to fight to keep your job. And I love that type of intensity. It keeps guys fresh. And we're all about that, Jeff. Teams making moves, and Dallas Cockroach is not one of them. That was a desperate plea from Jerry Jones to get attention. That's not changing that team. It's a atmospheric thing at that team, and they stink, Jeff. They suck. Can't believe we bet anything but against them. That's something we're going to make a new rule here. Green Bay Packers questionable at this point, Jeff. Real questionable play out of that offense, and I'm not so sure that that's a good team. Jaden Daniels. I mean, the NFC East is banged up, and this looks good for the Eagles to make a final run, and that's why they made this push. I mean, it all looks good going forward.
Before we talk about plays that you might be having this week, I want to go to the flip side of what you just talked about. You talked about the teams at the deadline that were buyers. What about the teams that were sellers? The New York Jets basically said, we are rebuilding. We are going to collect as many first-round picks in 2026 and 2027 that we can. Does that change maybe the way you view betting against a team like that moving forward?
Dangerous team. And this is something you don't have in college as much as the NFL. You still have guys playing for bonus incentives and bonuses, especially on the defensive side. That team has played hard.
Yeah.
And I think Aaron Glenn's a good coach. I think they could still win a handful of games, Jeff. That team is not quitting on him. So that's, the guys they let go could have been an upgrade. That could make their team a little better even now. Maybe there's problems in the locker room. Whatever it may be, nobody's giving people away that are going to help them. And I think the Jets, they've got the money. I think they have a good coach. And it doesn't change us not betting for them possibly going forward. Now, the Miami Dolphins, different story. I think that team's done. I think they're moving on, and everybody knows it. Tua, I don't know, kind of handcuffed with that situation, but the coach is gone. So that situation, a little bit more of a fire sale, I think. And there a lot of parity. The Steelers, the Ravens, Cincinnati, kind of all jumbled in right there. I think the Ravens make a run, and I think Cleveland's a dangerous team. You have another defensive team that can win a big game at any time. So, NFL, we're still learning, Jeff, and that's a good thing at this point of the year. What do we have? 12 games left. So, a lot of time we're still above 500, and that's where we always want to be. And that's the building block that you move on from when you're gambling week by week.
So, what are you thinking this week? Any leans, anything like that?
I mean, we'll put it out there, Jeff. What the hell? What? I'm wearing the hat. We're taking the Eagles. When you get the Eagles at plus 2.5, Jeff, that's an insulting thing to the Super Bowl champions coming off a mini kind of bye week, healthier, making changes in the lineup, and Jordan Love and that team. I don't think are going to be able to move the ball. If there's one thing I know about the Philadelphia Eagles, they know how to handle aggressive pass rushing defenses, and that good luck affecting Jalen. The running game, I think we proved that we can pass the ball. We're going to take the 2.5. We're putting that out. We're going to put that video out today. That's our freebie of the week, Jeff, and I think that's a good one. Why we wouldn't put on PezisPicks.com? When you're having a professional website to make picks, you kind of don't want to look like you're making emotional bets and a fanboy. I do think it's a solid play. The data's there. Better offensive and better defensive team, and I think with these upgrades, we're going to see it happen. Jordan Love, we almost killed him in Brazil last year, Jeff. I think you're going to see more of the same. He's going to be on the run. And, when you learn the talent of an NFL quarterback, can they take the rush? And Jalen Hurts has proven that when you start looking at the rush, Carson Wentz, we saw his demise again this year. Once you take your eyes off of looking downfield, that offense changes. And I think we're seeing that in Green Bay a little bit. So I love that game. 2.5, Monday night, the Eagles always shine. Lambeau, big game. We're going to take those points. Plus 2.5. Is Saquon? I think he's healthy, and I think we're going to be 100% there. So there you go. That's our freebie of the week, Jeff. Philadelphia Eagles plus 2.5.
Love it. And then you'll have those plays in. When do you typically get your NFL plays in? And by the way, let me ask you this question. Going back to last week, you took the over on the Cowboys-Cardinals game, and that's why you're bemoaning the Cowboys for not putting up more points. Kyler Murray was questionable to play, and then they ruled him out. Have you worked out any system to let people know, would you have still taken that if you knew that Jacoby Brissett was the quarterback?
Actually, Jeff, I liked it even better when Brissett was quarterback. Better quarterback, in my opinion. He lit that field up. I mean, they did their job. Well, yeah. So where the thinking comes from that play? The total, I think, was 53. And, you figure Dallas's offense been putting up a lot of points. Both receivers are going to be 100% going into that game. They don't run the ball well. So you figure they're going to put up 30. 35 points. I mean, that seems about reasonable against Arizona. And looking at Jacoby or Murray playing, three touchdowns, 24 points, we're there, right? So they did their job. Arizona gets 27 points. Dallas, first drive, 4th and 1. They lost yardage, Jeff. How do you have big-ass Dak Prescott and you don't quarterback sneak on 4th and 1? Who's calling the plays in Dallas? Is there a coach that can make a sensible decision there in the last 10 years? I don't think so, Jeff. So then the game tilted. It was over. I said, that's it. I went to bed, to be quite honest with you. That team is grotesque. There's no effort there. I mean, that's a numbers team talking about salary. They celebrate catches, Jeff, for first downs when they're down 14 points. Who does that in this league? You don't see that in the Pittsburgh Steelers. You don't see that from the Eagles, the Chiefs, and these good teams. So we apologize, Jeff. That was a whammy, but we would have taken that game, Brissett or Murray, and that was kind of worked into that situation. I figured as bad as Dallas, their defense is, they're going to put up 3 or 4 touchdowns, and they did. Dallas lets us down, Jeff. Thank God. That's a lesson we'll learn. We'll never bet them again. We vow that. That is the case. The Dallas Cockroaches, unless we're betting against them, off the books, we're not going to say their name anymore, Jeff.
Dead to us. Dead to us. All right. Jeff. I do want to get your take on the World Series and what you thought of it. It was a wild ending, a 7-game series. And to be honest with you, I was following your plays and your leans that you put out there. And I don't think anyone could ever hate on you for saying take the Blue Jays. You were almost that was a steal of a deal at what, plus 187 or something like that?
Plus 190, yeah.
Plus 190, okay. So that was a steal of a deal there. And then even the individual games that you had, when they lost the game, it was in 18 innings or 11 innings. I mean, what are you going to do? Like, you can't predict that. What did you think about the World Series now that it's over?
Again, that's, where the thinking was. We try not to take a lot of those games. We thought about putting out a play. A lot of people probably did this anyway. If you took them at plus 190, you could have taken the game and bet maybe the Dodgers, kind of middled yourself. You could have protected your play, not lost anything, and still maybe won $100 if you're putting 100. Toronto blew it, Jeff. I've never seen a World Series where you had a series start with a team at plus 190 and then be at game 5, and they were giving up. They were 2-1 at that point. So The entire odds changed. It made sense. I think they were a better team. What's up with baseball, Jeff? Ohtani, they give him extra time. They changed the rules for this guy. He was betting, Jeff. This guy's gambling. Forget about this whole translator. Deferred money? I mean, what is going on with the Dodgers? They have become the new New York Yankees. I hate them, Jeff. I hate everything about them. Freddie Freeman, goddamn, he's the best pressure player I've seen since Derek Jeter. That guy needs to retire. You're not going to beat that team with that guy on there. He makes every big play when the game's on the line. Ohtani, an amazing dude, but I don't know, Jeff. The guy was gambling. There's a lot of hypocrisy in that baseball. We're pissed off still. We should have won that bet, Jeff. I was pissed off every night. I was proud of ourselves having a little bit of restraint, not betting them. Toronto. Well, this is a new thing with baseball. They're going to put pitchers in situations we didn't used to see. There was a starting pitcher, and then you had a middle guy, and then you had a closer. That's off the boards, Jeff. In the playoffs, you might be a guy that pitched 7 innings 2 days ago. They're going to throw you out there for an inning. They're going to throw Yamamoto out there, the 10th to pitch through the 15th. So a lot has changed. You're going to have veterans on these teams that are making runs that can give you 2 or 3 innings, Scherzer and Kershaw. And that makes it more difficult to gamble. It's obviously more difficult to hit off them. That's why we're seeing these long games.
Yeah. All right, let's finish it up like we always do with some your top 5 for the week. You ready?
Let it rip, Jeff.
All right, go.
Sushi Yoshi, Killington, Vermont. A dynamite après ski bar. If you like sushi, hibachi, Jeff, great people there. Number 4, snow. That's all we're going to say, Jeff. Snow is, as the kids say, the shit of weather. Is there anything cooler than snow? I don't think so. Number 3, Halloween night in Philadelphia. That was the friendliest I've ever seen Philadelphia, perhaps in my life, Jeff. From South Philly all the way to Rittenhouse Square. So you're going from the working man to the rich man. Free parties, free beer. Love that town. I'll take it all day, Jeff. Unbelievable town, the city of brotherly love. Number 2, Vanderbilt. I'm going to give it to him, Jeff. That team was getting smoked at Texas. That is a hard-playing team. This Pavia guy is for real. He could be the best NFL prospect going forward. I don't know if he has the arm ability, Jeff, but I love that guy. That's number 2, Vanderbilt football, Pavia. I love it. I could watch that team all day. Number 1, Jeff. This is an alert. This is a little bit off of sports. Maybe it is a sport. The Bears have declared war against the humans in Japan, Jeff. Did you know there have been 14 people killed in Japan by bears this year, over 100 attacks? They have sent the military in to go to war with the bears, Jeff. This is Pez's picks. This is like some sort of health alert we should be putting out. The Bears, this is a bearnado. The Sharknado has come to life, but it's on land. 14 people killed. There was a person killed in a grocery store last week, Jeff. A bear entered a grocery store and ate a person. Is there anything more ironic than that? I don't know. Number 1, the most badass predator in the world, the black and brown bear of Japan. We dream of going skiing there. I don't think we're going until the military. I don't know what they're going to do, Jeff. they've declared war. They're walking around with spears and shields. Check it out. PezosPicks.com. Maybe we'll get the FFSN private jet going. We're going to go over there. I don't know, Jeff. Bears are terrifying to me. It's the land shark. God bless everybody in Japan. I hope they make it, Jeff. Unbelievable.
Bears. Hey, that's a good top
Bear
five.
NATO, Jeff. Bear NATO, number one, Japanese Bear NATO. Lock it up. That's the scariest headline I've heard since that homeless guy ate that other homeless guy in Florida. That's the beginning of the zombie attack, Jeff.
Oh,
maybe it jumped the Bears. I don't know. Maybe this is
God.
a real life World War Z. I don't know. I'm terrified there, Jeff.
What are we doing? Okay. All right. This has been a good show, Pez. What are your final thoughts for this weekend's action?
Go Birds, Jeff. Go Birds.
That's it. Love it.
That's it.
Pez, thanks for your time, man. Enjoy the weather up there. Disregard the R word and focus on the snow, will you? And we'll talk next week, man.
We'll see.
See you.